May 3, 2012, 34 days left until the university entrance exam. Sunlight streamed onto my desk. The teacher droned on at the podium. Classmates diligently studied around me. Me. I just sat there, bored stiff. The teacher kept glancing my way, like my idleness was ruining her perfect classroom tableau. Her look was a mix of puzzlement and disdain. "Hey, fidget fingers, would you quit moving around? What's up? Got ants in your pants?" That was Ben Miles, one of the brainiacs in our class, a pretty chill dude except for his nosiness. Everyone just called him Ben Miles. I turned, grinning. Finally, someone to talk to. "Nah, just bored out of my skull, kid. Tell me, who's the teacher up there? I ain't never seen her before." Ben Miles gave me a side eye. "Have you even been to class this past month? She's the new teacher. Heard she's 30 and still single." Yep, still the same old gossipy Ben Miles. One question and he falls right into my trap. Not that I'm being malicious, corrupting a good student or anything. I'm just bored, gotta find some entertainment, right? 30 and single, huh? No wonder she's so uptight, probably going through the change and everything. We started whispering about the bold lady, though she was actually kinda cute. It was mostly the glasses and the frumpy clothes. We chuckled, completely ignoring the teacher. Ethan Thomas. If you're not going to study, then don't disrupt the other students. My fun was interrupted. How'd she even know my name? This is so annoying, why is she picking on me? But I'm a generous guy, I won't hold it against a desperate woman. So, I just gave a sheepish grin. Teacher. I've got a stomach ache. Can I go to the bathroom?" The old lady gave me the stink eye, then a dismissive wave. "Perfect. I'm outta here. Couldn't stand this atmosphere any longer. I hate school. I was a real troublemaker in middle school. My parents are regular folks, can't really rely on them, and I don't wanna anyway. In high school, I've chilled out on the fighting, though it still happens sometimes. I'm older now, after all. Just renting a place with some buddies, you know, living it up." Out of the school gates, I glanced at the security guard. Didn't even bother acknowledging him. I'm graduating soon, what's he gonna do, drag me to the principal's office? I smirked, pulled out a cigarette, and lit it. By the time the guard started walking towards me, I was already in a taxi, pulling away. The look on his face was priceless. "Huh, screw you. What's so funny, son?" I looked at the cab driver. "Oh, nothin'. Just drive." The driver gave me an exasperated look. "You haven't told me where to go yet." Embarrassed, I scratched my head. "Oh, sorry, driver. Water Transport Manor, please." The car sped along. No rush hour traffic, so the roads were clear. Most importantly, our drivers here are top-notch, all skilled behind the wheel. Of course, they all end up pretty miserably too. Arriving at our temporary digs, I went upstairs and paused at the door. Thinking for a moment, I took out my key and quietly unlocked it. The living room was empty. Phew. Lucky me. I closed the door behind me and tiptoed to my room. Well. If it isn't our young Master Thomas. Skipping university entrance exam prep to come back here. What's up? I almost took you for a burglar. Ryan Lee emerged from his room, a smirk plastered on his face. Annoyed, I retorted, "Ever seen a burglar as handsome as me? You're the burglar. Your whole family are burglars." Ryan Lee shrugged, feigning indifference. "Shouldn't young Master Thomas be studying for the university entrance exam? What are you doing back here? Weren't you just talking about acing the university entrance exam this morning?" "Left my books at home." "Oh, really? Wait a minute. Didn't we sell our books a few days ago, 'cause we were broke? My heart sank. Damn it. Should have just gone to the internet cafe instead of coming back. Shut the hell up. Just then, Eric Fields walked out of his room, probably taking a break from gaming to get some fresh air. Seeing me, he asked, "Ethan. You idiot. Shouldn't you be at university entrance exam prep? What's going on? Skipping again?" As soon as he finished, Ryan Lee burst out laughing. It pissed me off. Let me tell you, I'm not skipping. Just came back to check on you two knuckleheads. Eric Fields chuckled. Oh, come on, Mr. Ethan's a big shot. You gotta ace that university entrance exam. Bringing glory to the ancestors and all that. Ryan Lee pointed at me. Him. Get outta here. He's probably just checking out the pretty girls. I pointed back at them. Let me tell you two morons. You're the ones ruining my reputation. Stop trying to sound like Lucas, they said in unison. That afternoon, I tried to snag some computer time from Eric Fields, but he wouldn't let me. These two are my best mates from high school, brothers in arms. Ryan Lee and I are both from out of town, we've known each other forever. Eric Fields just decided he liked hanging with us. He even lugged his computer over. I endured their mockery all afternoon, finally getting a chance to redeem myself by going downstairs to get them dinner. Back at our place, the three of us relaxed and enjoyed ourselves. It felt good. Ryan Lee picked up a cigarette but from the floor, lit it, took a drag, and blew the smoke in my face. So, Mr. Idiot, how was university entrance exam prep today? I gnawed on a chicken foot and took a swig of beer. Damn it, will you cut it out? Huh. I was only at university entrance exam prep for half a day. You guys are overdoing it. Gotta overdo it. Idiot, get your head in the game. The university entrance exam is coming up. What? You still think you're gonna ace it? Give me a break. I shot a sideways glance at Eric Fields, who was butting in, and ignored him. Ryan Lee sighed. True. What are we gonna do after graduation? Damn, time flies. In a blink, it'll be the 4th, then another month, who knows where we'll be. Hearing that, I froze, suddenly remembering something. My mouth, full of chicken leg, was stuck in a comical, motionless pose. Eric Fields chuckled, I reckon, after the university entrance exam, y'all should stick around for another 2 months. Otherwise, who knows when we'll see each other again. Might as well call Victor Daniels and Mason Todd too. I ignored them, lost in my own thoughts, unable to process anything they were saying. Ryan Lee nudged me, hey, what's up with you? I turned to him, tomorrow is Veronica Tate's birthday. You still remember her? It's been a year. Yeah, why can't you get over it? Listening to them, I sank into deep thought. Veronica Tate is my ex-girlfriend. We broke up a year ago, but I can't forget her. It's not that I still have illusions about us, I just can't let go, that's all. I heard about that a while ago. Eric Fields looked at me, she's invited a lot of people. It's almost graduation, time for everyone to have some fun. She asked me to let you know. Why didn't you tell me? I almost forgot. Ryan Lee said, it's not that we didn't tell you. I deliberately reminded you that tomorrow is the 4th. I know she's still a scar in your heart. If you've truly forgotten her, then not going would be for the best. Go. Why wouldn't I go? I grabbed the half-empty bottle of booze from the floor and went back to my room. This place is a 3-bedroom apartment, just enough for each of us to have our own room. Lying on the bed, smoking and drinking, I couldn't place the feeling in my gut. It's been so long, why can't I untie this knot? Every time I think of her, I get this feeling. I don't know what she's thinking, I just know I love her, then and now. Lying in bed, drinking and reminiscing, a dull ache started in my stomach. Memories flooded back, and I puked. Luckily, I made it to the bathroom, splashed water on my face to sober up a bit, then collapsed back onto the bed, unconscious. Knock. Someone was at the door. Damn it, are you kidding me? If I didn't call, you'd sleep till afternoon. I opened my eyes and looked at the clock. Shit, it's almost noon. I hurriedly got dressed, hearing the yelling from outside, "If you don't get up, I'm gonna drop a bomb in your room. Waking you up every day. I'm practically your dad now." Hearing that indignant roar, fueled by the irritation of being woken up, I flung the door open and launched myself at Ryan Lee, employing every dirty trick I knew. Eric Fields joined in midway, and the three of us tumbled into a chaotic brawl. Exhausted after the scuffle, we collapsed onto the chairs, gasping for air. Ryan Lee, sprawled on the floor, said, "Real nice, you jerk. It's Veronica Tate's birthday today, don't you need money anymore? Don't give me that look, no way, no how this time." I thought for a moment, looking at Eric Fields. To my surprise, he immediately stood up. "Oh dear, I almost forgot. Mason Todd needs me for something. I'll be going now." And with that, he left. At this point, I said, all right, no need for the money." After I spoke, both of them looked at me with strange expressions. I scoff, "Do you really not need it, or are you just pretending? Yeah, don't you dare try to delay things. That's not like you, Ethan." "Me, do I really value looks over friends? You tell us." They said in unison, perfectly synchronized. Veronica Tate chose the biggest karaoke place in town for her birthday party, and almost the whole class showed up. My mates and I sat together, along with Victor Daniels and Mason Todd. Veronica Tate looked stunning today, in a Korean-style dress, her hair in beach waves, her figure slender, and a radiant smile on her face. For a moment, I was captivated. "Hey, stop staring." Victor Daniels nudged me. "Quit daydreaming, you'll get a wife and a car someday," he said, clinking his glass against mine. I sighed, he was right, why was I acting like this? I raised my glass and downed it in one gulp. Then I glared at Victor Daniels. "Damn it. You tricked me with that baijiu." Ha! Everyone around us laughed. She was clearly having a great time today, she loved lively atmospheres and had been smiling brightly from the start. I watched her, took a glass of wine, and walked over. Ryan Lee, being perceptive, turned off the music and switched on the lights. Simultaneously, the surrounding noise died down. I looked at Sophie Cole beside her. "Beautiful, mind making some room?" "Oh, sure." Diane Grant, next to her, chuckled, gave me a puzzled look, and then moved away. Now, it was just the two of us on the small sofa. I smiled and sat down next to her, and she smiled back at me. I stroked her hair, and she stared at me, stunned. I knew how familiar this gesture was to her. "Happy birthday," I said, raising my glass. Under the light, her eyes sparkled a little. After a long pause, she said, "Thank you." I drained my glass, my stomach ached, having already drunk quite a lot, but I held back the pain. Turning to face her, I lifted her face and kissed her forehead. I had no idea what I was thinking. While she was still dazed, I choked out the words in her ear, "I love you." My voice wasn't loud, but she could hear it clearly. I looked at this girl, this proud girl, and tears rolled down her cheeks. I knew I'd lost control again, so I got up and went to the bathroom. Some say that as long as you love each other, you should be together. But, I couldn't help but wonder, she's an only child, destined to inherit a fortune. She wants for nothing, would she even need a man? I threw up violently in the bathroom, splashing ice-cold water on my face. Stomach hurting again. Veronica Tate stood at the door, watching me. I wiped the water from my face. Ugh, it's a chronic thing, you know that. Who told you to drink so much? I straightened up. Victor Daniels played a trick on me. Veronica Tate clicked her tongue and then ignored me. I looked outside. Where is everyone? Veronica Tate spread her hands. They've all left. Where are Ryan Lee and the others? They left too, and told you to take me home. Oh God, I'm drunk, how can I take you? Are you taking me or not? Veronica Tate asked, hands on her hips. Take me. We walked along the road, neither of us calling a ride, just chatting about trivial stuff. As we neared her house, we heard dogs barking. I asked her, you still have that many dogs? Veronica Tate laughed, a bright, happy laugh, then pointed at me, you're still scared? They're guard dogs, just for guys like you. I glanced at her, feeling a bit annoyed. Here's the story, back when we were still together, she called me and said she was home alone. I heard that and snuck over to her place. As I climbed over the wall, a couple of German shepherds came charging out. I scrambled back up, nearly ending up as dog food. So, after that, Veronica Tate always brought it up, calling me sneaky and a pervert. Of course, I wouldn't admit it. I was just worried she'd be scared at home alone. Yeah, everyone gets it. Arriving at her front gate, I saw a figure lurking in her house from a distance, so I asked her, what's going on at your place? She shook her head, I don't know. Then, biting her lip, she asked, with the university entrance exam coming up, we'll have to break up, won't we? I didn't say anything, just nodded, my heart a jumble of emotions. Then, she stood on tiptoe and kissed me softly, tears streaming down her cheeks. I put my arms around her, and she cried even harder. A while later, she disappeared from my sight. A Prado and 2 Buicks drove out of her house, passing me by, but I didn't even notice. My mind was full of the image of that proud girl, the girl who cried while smiling, the girl who smiled while crying. I knew our love might end just like that. I got home quickly, finding only Ryan Lee watching TV alone on the sofa. You're back. Ryan Lee said without turning around. I looked around the house. Where are Eric Fields and the others? Ryan Lee, munching on sunflower seeds, replied, at the internet cafe, with Mason Todd and Victor Daniels. I just said, oh, still feeling pretty down. Ryan Lee looked at me, by the way, what did you get Veronica Tate? I didn't see you give her anything. Did you prepare something beforehand? I jolted. Damn it, I forgot all about that. What? Crazy kid, I'm talking to you. I looked at him and said, oh no, I forgot to give it to her, oh God. Ryan Lee was exasperated. How embarrassing. How could I forget that? I dashed to my room and retrieved the necklace I had prepared, a gift I had intended to give her earlier. Since we broke up, I hadn't given it to her. I took out the necklace, the heart-shaped pendant was exquisite. I stuffed the necklace into my pocket and hurried out, bumping into Ryan Lee. Damn it. What's the rush? I rubbed my head, damn, too much of a rush, didn't see you. Ryan Lee got up, damn, you're not still planning on giving it to her, are you? It's almost 12 o'clock. I looked at my watch. No problem, still time. I pointed at Ryan Lee, you're wasting my time. Go do whatever you're doing. I gave him a kick and ran out of the house, his curses echoing behind me. Of course, who is Ethan? I wouldn't pay attention to that kind of thing. Out the door, I quickly hailed a cab. On the way, I called Veronica Tate. She was probably about to sleep, her voice drowsy. Ethan Thomas? What's up? Come out, I have your birthday present. I forgot it earlier. Veronica Tate immediately woke up, huh? There's another present? I thought you didn't prepare, did you just go buy it? I hurriedly explained, no way, I left it at home. You were crying and laughing, and even kissed me, so I forgot. Get lost. Veronica Tate said angrily, can't you say anything nice? I chuckled, well, no kiss, then where would I find you? I'm on my way to your house. Veronica Tate, upon hearing this, said, then come to my house. Oh my God, no way, I'm afraid of dogs. She started laughing, all right, call me when you're at the gate, I'll come get you. Yeah, okay. I hung up. The taxi reached the intersection in front of her house. I hadn't gotten out yet, still paying the driver. Just then, 3 of Veronica Tate's family cars returned, still the Prado in the lead, along with 2 Buicks. The Prado in front had definitely hit something, its headlights were smashed. I hadn't gotten out of the taxi yet, so they didn't see me. Plus, we were on the main road, needing to turn at the intersection to reach Veronica Tate's house. For some reason, I quietly slipped away. Her house was a simple 2-story building, surrounded by a wall, with a large gate and a dog. I thought for a moment, then turned towards the back door. Not because I was afraid of the dog, you know. Sneaking to the back door, which was a very ordinary double-folding door, I was about to push it open when I stopped, because I heard noises inside. According to Ford, tell me, who told you to sell drugs on my turf? I immediately became alert, because the speaker was Bennett Tate. I quietly took a few steps, peeking through the crack in the door just enough to see the situation inside. 2 people were lying on the floor, their hands tied behind their backs. 4 or 5 burly men stood beside them, holding machetes. In front was Bennett Tate, a slightly stout figure dressed in black. Thanks to the moonlight, I could see that the people lying on the floor were covered in blood, beaten to the point of being unable to get up. One of them spoke up, Mr. Tate, we're all just trying to make a living. Please let us go. I guarantee there won't be a next time. Bennett Tate shook his head, everyone in S Corporation knows, I hate drugs the most. Moreover, now is a crucial time, how crucial it is I won't say, but you all know. The man on the ground shook his head, Mr. Tate, you're leaving me with no way out. Bennett Tate snorted, you make your own way. I've always done legitimate business. Although I have a chain of KTVs, it's not to the point of getting involved with gangsters. You guys selling drugs on my territory, this is breaking my rules. I won't tolerate it anymore, I still have some power to do something. The man on the ground sighed, Mr. Tate, name your price. Heh, out in the world, you should have anticipated this day, right? 50,000, no more, no less. Mr. Tate, you're leaving me with no way out. Bennett Tate laughed sinisterly, then squatted down and patted his face, even if there's no one behind you paying you, you're still capable of getting it. Don't think I don't know. The man on the ground clearly admitted it, laughing helplessly, all right, Mr. Tate, I'll go get the money. Bennett Tate extended his hand, Henry Page. Take him back. Among the burly men behind him, a particularly handsome young man, about 6 feet tall, stepped forward. Just then, the phone in my pocket suddenly rang. Everyone looked towards me. The guy named Henry Page reacted the fastest, taking 2 large strides to open the back door. The machete in his hand had somehow changed into a gun. Yes, a gun. Holy shit. I've lived for 20 years and never seen a gun. Henry Page swiftly aimed his gun at my head, making me jump. The phone in my hand clattered to the ground, cold sweat trickling down my back. He glanced at me, silent, then picked up the phone, Veronica. Damn it. I'd never even called her that. Who the hell does he think he is? Of course, I didn't dare say those words aloud with a gun pointed at my head. Could you? I swallowed hard, I'm Veronica Tate's friend. I'm here to see her. As soon as I finished, the phone rang again, Henry Page. Why do you have his phone? I froze. Veronica Tate immediately recognized his voice. It seemed this Henry Page wasn't just some ordinary underling. At least, he was very close to Veronica Tate. The thought sparked jealousy, then relief, then helplessness. If only I were a rich kid. Of course, I'm not one to curse my fate, so the thought passed quickly. Henry Page looked at me, then spoke into the phone. "All right, Veronica, go back to the living room. He'll be right over." Veronica Tate, unaware of what had transpired, obediently agreed. Henry Page hung up, glanced at me, and tossed me the phone. "Why are you at the back door? If you're looking for Veronica Tate, you should use the front." I was speechless, unsure how to respond. Then, he raised his gun at me again. At that moment, Bennett Tate spoke up. "All right, Henry Page, go about your business. I know this kid." He chuckled. "This kid tried coming in through the main gate last year, almost got bitten by the dogs." As soon as he finished, everyone around us laughed. I questioned. "That's not right, Uncle. I remember you weren't home that day." Bennett Tate laughed. "Haha, nothing gets past me. Our house has cameras everywhere." So that's how it was. He knew about us. Damn, I'd need to find a more discreet spot next time. Then again, there wouldn't be a next time. The deputy glanced at me, then said to Bennett Tate, "Uncle, this brat definitely overheard us. What if he blabs?" Bennett Tate remained calm. "Let him. It's nothing." Then he walked towards me, patting my shoulder. "You better treat my Veronica Tate well. She's the princess of this house. No one is allowed to hurt her." He waved his hand, and the crowd dispersed. I noticed Henry Page glance back at me as he left. Of course, I ignored him. Ethan's on a whole other level. I'll let it slide, not worth my time. But honestly, today's events were pretty shocking. No one paid me any attention as I strolled into the grand hall. Veronica Tate, dressed in sky blue pajamas, her already tall figure appearing even more elegant, her form still alluring beneath the sleepwear, smiled at me as I entered. I shielded my eyes. Avert your gaze. Too dazzling. Veronica Tate laughed, brushing my hand aside, "As if you've never seen it before." I replied, "Oh. I forgot. How about letting me see it again?" "You perv." Veronica Tate playfully scolded, then pulled me along. "Come up to my room." I gulped. Too tempting. "All right, let's go." Veronica Tate's room was predominantly decorated in pink, complete with a TV, computer, and all the amenities. Rich people, huh? "Where's my present?" Veronica Tate asked, smiling as she held out her hand. "Close your eyes," I said, grinning. Veronica Tate obediently closed her eyes, still smiling. I couldn't resist giving her a kiss. She opened her eyes. "Is that it?" I laughed. "Not yet." "Who told you to open your eyes?" Oh, Veronica Tate said, obediently closing her eyes again, pretending to let me do whatever I wanted. Huh, so obedient. This is making things difficult for me. I couldn't help but kiss her again. She froze for a moment, then started to kiss me back. A long while later, we parted. Leaning against me, she said, "You're still the same, always tricking me, always coaxing me to be happy. Sometimes, I clearly know you're teasing, but I still believe you. Sometimes, I really feel like a fool." I was silent, not knowing what to say, just holding her tightly. Back then, over time, I gradually neglected her feelings, and in the end, when she left, I didn't even try to hold her back. Only after we broke up did I feel regret, a pain that pierced my heart. I tried everything to forget her, but I failed. I had underestimated her place in my heart. After who knows how long, I let go of her. "All right, go to sleep. I should go now. Your dad's still out there." She wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and nodded. I turned to leave, then suddenly remembered. Damn it, what did I come here for? I almost forgot. Wait. Veronica Tate blinked. What? Close your eyes. You pervert. Are you trying to tease me again? I'm serious. Close your eyes. Oh, all right then. I took out the necklace I had prepared, brushed her hair aside, and fastened it around her neck. After I finished, she opened her eyes and skipped over to the mirror, stroking the small heart-shaped pendant. Then, smiling, she ran back to me, throwing her arms around my neck. It's beautiful. Thank you. I smiled. Do you like it? Yeah, but, it's not just white gold-plated, is it? That one sentence almost made me spit blood. Good heavens, it's real platinum. Oh, platinum is platinum. Why so aggressive? Then, ignoring me, she fiddled with the necklace, completely enamored. I suddenly remembered Henry Page. Oh, that Henry Page guy, what's he like? Is he rich? Veronica Tate looked at me. Why are you asking about him? No reason. Can't I ask? I'm not really sure. I think he manages some karaoke bars in Horse Road Bay, where I live. I was a little surprised. That whole strip of businesses belongs to your family? Not all of them, but we own 3 or 4. Good heavens, this little girlfriend's family is loaded. My dad never lets me get involved in that stuff, so I don't know much. Then she paused for a moment. That Henry Page guy manages that area. Whatever, he's nice, and he's really good to me. I glanced at her. Good, my foot. He's good to you, all right, but he's not exactly polite to me. Of course, I didn't say that out loud. Parting ways with Veronica Tate, I walked alone down the street, my mind a whirlwind. I didn't even want to hail a cab. Everything that happened today completely exceeded my comprehension. Bennett Tate is a big name around here, runs a company, but I never expected him to be so profoundly unfathomable. Up until now, I've never paid attention to the rumors circulating. Firstly, I'm just a student, never thought about stepping into that vicious cycle. Secondly, schoolyard fights are just that, schoolyard fights, fundamentally different, so what works there might not work out in the real world. I got home past 2 in the morning, crashed, and slept soundly straight through till noon. I touched my head, yep, throbbing. Probably from all the booze last night. I opened the door to a magnificent scene. Liquor bottles littered the living room. Mason Todd and Victor Daniels were there too, those guys, bottles in hand, already starting their banter. I walked over. Could you guys maybe get some actual food next time you drink? It's just peanuts and chicken feet. Damn, fine, I haven't eaten anything all morning. Don't you guys know? No, I mean lunch. Everyone laughed. Mason Todd nudged over, making space for me on the sofa, then said slyly, based on my years of experience in the battlefield of love and my in-depth research on your Veronica Tate, plus your current state, I'm guessing you didn't take her home last night, or at least not directly home. You definitely found a place with a bed. Damn it. I smacked him upside the head. Everyone around us burst into laughter, the kind that sounded downright sinister. I didn't bother explaining. In this situation, the more I explained, the messier it would get. Looking at the food on the table, I didn't have much of an appetite. Couldn't handle any more alcohol either, the smell alone made me want to puke. I'm telling you, you guys are heartless. About last night, I was completely wasted, and you just left me there. Enough, Victor Daniels cut me off. Damn it, who's heartless? We were creating an opportunity for you, get it? You should be thanking us. Damn, so now you guys are feasting, and what about me? Stuck with this stuff. Huh? Treating Grant like this? Do you guys even want to live anymore? Ryan Lee rolled his eyes. Stop putting on a show, I bet you can't even eat anything anyway. Hearing that, I saw an opening. Ha. So, Hone, give me a hint. They all went silent. Such a quick change. They still ignored me. Damn it, less chit-chat, bring out the food. I have a stomach ache, I seriously can't eat this stuff. Check your phone. I did as he said, went back to my room and grabbed my phone. 3 missed calls, 2 messages, all from Alyssa Hale, my sworn sister from middle school. We've always been pretty close. The message read, "What are you doing? Why aren't you answering?" "I'm back, coming over at noon." I looked at Ryan Lee. "She's back, so what does that have to do with me eating?" Then she called me. "I told her you were passed out drunk. Whether she brings food or not is her business." Damn it. What if she doesn't buy it? You think she won't? Hearing that, I thought for a bit. My little sis is so sweet, how could she not buy it? Feeling relieved, I sprawled on the sofa and started laughing. Those guys started gossiping. Look at his sly face, did he score with Veronica Tate yesterday? Doesn't look like it to me, probably aiming for Alyssa, that dog, so wicked. I ignored them. Alyssa Hale is indeed a beauty, but I wouldn't lay a finger on my sworn sister, that's just wrong. Plus, I've always considered her family. Change the subject, Mason Todd said. Did you and Veronica Tate go out yesterday? Damn, is that what you call changing the subject? I gave him a side eye. Forget it, I almost got freaking shot yesterday. Victor Daniels perked up immediately. What happened? Just then, someone knocked on the door. I chuckled, my little sis is here. Victor Daniels shook his head and cursed, damn, ignoring me again. I got up to open the door. Behind me, their scornful voices, eunuch. Opening the door, brother. Alyssa called and threw herself into my arms. Cough, cough, so embarrassing. I hugged her and closed the door. Alyssa looked up and asked, did you miss me? I pinched her cheek, of course. Here, you haven't eaten yet, right? I brought you breakfast. Yeah, no rush, just leave it there. I looked at Alyssa Hale. She's gotten much prettier, taller, and her clothes are more mature. She dyed her hair blonde, which makes her slightly childish face even more beautiful. Sitting on the sofa, my closeness with Alyssa made them uncomfortable. Oh dear. This is a bit awkward. Yeah. I bet Veronica Tate will kill him tomorrow. Definitely. I smiled, ignoring them. Veronica Tate isn't as petty as they say. Opening it up to eat, KFC, still my good little sis. Let them watch while I devour it. Eating this is at least better than the peanuts they're having. Alyssa saw me like this and laughed, go ahead and eat, no one's fighting you for it. Yeah, you and that giant pie. Victor Daniels took a sip of his drink, interrupting me, stop stuffing your face and tell us what happened yesterday. Who wanted to shoot you? I sighed and recounted yesterday's events to them. Everyone here is a brother in arms, so there's nothing to hide. I ate as I spoke, and everyone was silent. These things were completely beyond our comprehension, but Victor Daniels was different. This is quite normal. Bennett Tate may have a legitimate company, doing real estate or something, but his main source of income is still the KTV chain on Horse Road Bay, the place that just became a provincial-level district. Security is very tight there. Bennett Tate was already against drugs, and now even more so. That Theo Ford guy, he's got some guts. Consider him unlucky. I asked, how do you know so much? I've never heard you talk about this before. Victor Daniels took a sip of his drink and continued, you know why I get into fights and my dad doesn't care. I'm taking over the family business. We have some operations, a whole factory. After I graduate, I'm not taking the university entrance exam. I'm learning the ropes from my dad, inheriting the family business. He finished, letting out a hearty laugh. Ryan Lee looked at him. What does fighting have to do with inheriting the family business? You don't get it. Rich people these days, who isn't ruthless? My dad keeps a low profile, doesn't mess with drugs or anything. We just have 1K TV. Anything more, we couldn't handle. Our main income is still those factories. Ryan Lee burst out laughing. Your dad's the most ruthless, producing a son just as shady. Fuck. Sure, his dad was ruthless, but Victor Daniels, at 5'7", wearing glasses, looked every bit the scholar, nothing like a shady character. Interrupting their banter, all right, enough joking. Tell me, who are the major players around here? Damn, I feel like I've wasted the last few years. Mason Todd picked up, do we call that wasted? He hesitated, then said, first, there's Theo Parker's crew. They mainly operate in Westgate, built their reputation entirely on fighting and violence. They don't have their own territory, just offer protection, loan sharking. Lots of underlings. The second power is Gregory Parks. This guy's clever. Owns a nightclub, a Western restaurant. Damn, doing good business. I smiled. I had some impression of this Gregory Parks. We're from the same town. I got drunk at his nightclub once and threw up in the lobby. His guys wouldn't let me leave. Then Gregory Parks himself came out to smooth things over. Said something about us being from the same place, how things aren't easy for kids from the countryside. Later, back in town, I heard from some older guys that he used to hang around our area, pretty well known. There's another power. Mason Todd hesitated, looked at me, and said, your father-in-law, Bennett Tate. Controls a string of territories, seems like he built 3 or 4 of them himself. I finished my porridge and lit a cigarette. That's all. Yeah. Victor Daniels leaned back. There's one more person you guys don't know about. Michael Warren. What? Holy shit, real or fake? Dude, are you kidding? Apparently, I wasn't the only one surprised. Eric Fields and Ryan Lee were also shocked. Victor Daniels chuckled. Didn't expect that, did you? He's a big businessman, chairman of Red Horizon Group. But he has a lot of underground influence. I was intrigued. What kind of underground influence? Victor Daniels sighed. We're all brothers here, I won't hide anything. Telling you guys is fine. Actually, my dad is secretly backed by him. Asterisk asterisk. We were all stunned. We never expected his dad to be Michael Warren's man. Of course, we wouldn't say anything, couldn't ask too much. Knowing too much isn't good. I stubbed out my cigarette and asked, what about Henry Page? I know this Henry Page. Alyssa, who had been quiet until now, suddenly spoke up. Don't interfere. If you're not a gangster, don't talk about gangster stuff. I interrupted her. She wrinkled her nose. Bro, I'm serious. Shut up. You're not a gangster, so don't call everyone, bro. When I said that, everyone around us laughed, and Alyssa also found it funny, but she didn't say anything, just punched me. Bro, how are things between you and sis-in-law? I replied doubtfully, everything's fine. Alyssa let out an, oh. Then why don't you make up with her? I feel awkward. Hanging out with her now. I smiled. What does my relationship with her have to do with you and her? Alyssa wrinkled her nose again. It's different. I asked, amused, how is it different? You two just keep hanging out. It's still different. I ignored her and asked, how did you and Henry Page meet? She said, I forgot how we met. I remember one time I went to the club at Horse Road Bay, and he let me in for free. Ryan Lee, upon hearing this, exclaimed, oh my God. Is he into you? I was also stunned. This Henry Page is disgusting, how could he even go after my little sister? Then I thought, no, that's not right, Henry Page isn't that kind of person. Alyssa laughed and said, no way. It's probably because I often go shopping with sis-in-law that he knows me. I really don't know how he knows me. I smiled. That's for the best. Then Alyssa said, bro, let's go shopping. I immediately shook my head upon hearing that. What a joke. I hate shopping the most. Honestly, I still don't understand why girls like shopping so much. Their legs and arms get sore, but they still keep going. This must be the headache of all men. Alyssa put her hands on her hips. Are you going or not? I shifted to the side and said, are you kidding? I said I'm not going, so I'm not going. I'm a man, my word is my bond. Before I could finish my sentence, Alyssa pounced on me. Are you going or not? You think you got this breakfast for free? What do you mean, stupid? Isn't this yours? Are you arguing with me? Normally, with her small frame, she wouldn't be able to do anything to me. What a joke, I could take her on any day. But I forgot that Eric Fields and Ryan Lee, those guys, are very much in sync with her, of course. As a result, I was tragically pinned down on the sofa, utterly defeated. Alyssa pinched my cheeks and said, I'll give you one more chance. Are you going or not? I would rather die than submit. No, I'm not going. Ouch, stop pinching, it hurts. Are you going or not? I'm going, my little sister. I'm going, my little sister. Isn't your little sister me? Are you going by yourself? Are you still arguing with me? I glanced at her. It seemed like she was genuinely angry. Fine, she's just a kid. I'm magnanimous, I'll indulge her. So, with a stupid, sly grin on my face, I was dragged away by Alyssa. In the end, my resistance was futile. Overpowered by Victor Daniels's crew's yelling, I had to compromise. Alyssa dragged me into a taxi, driver, experimental secondary school. I tugged her back, what are we going to school for? Alyssa grinned, to pick up sister-in-law. Pick her up for what? Alyssa stretched, I'm giving you a chance, you know. A chance for what? Alyssa rolled her eyes, I thought you were usually pretty smart. What's with you now? I thought for a moment, then laughed, it's all right, hee hee. Why are you laughing so slyly? The taxi sped along, arriving at the school in no time. Getting out, I looked at the towering school building inside, you've got too much time on your hands. It's class time. We have to go in and call her out. Alyssa rolled her eyes, are you a complete idiot? I pointed at her, speechless, not daring to provoke her further. Soon, Veronica Tate emerged from the school, not in uniform. She wore tight black jeans that accentuated her stunning figure, a black leather jacket over a white short-sleeved t-shirt. Her hair was loose, in its usual wavy style, looking very charming. I stubbed out my cigarette, aha, my dear wife has arrived. Gimme a hug. Veronica Tate laughed, clearly delighted. Huh, I spread my arms wide. Unexpectedly, Veronica Tate grinned mischievously, dodged me, and rushed to hug Alyssa, babe. I missed you so much. I was stunned. What season is this? The lilies are blooming. Veronica Tate came over and playfully scolded me, you're the lily. Then she snuggled up to my arm. Alyssa chuckled, brother, sister-in-law, let's go. By the time she said that, I wasn't laughing anymore. All afternoon, the two girls had fun, while I was miserable. We strolled through the shopping district all afternoon, from one store to another, until my legs were about to give way. I protested repeatedly, but the results were always a 2-1 loss, met with their profound disdain. Hey, can we get something to eat? My arms were laden with bags. You two prodigal daughters. Alyssa, did you strike gold in Beijing? Spending like this. And Veronica Tate, even if we have money, we shouldn't be so extravagant. Arm in arm, Alyssa giggled, it seems like sister-in-law paid for all of this. I haven't spent a dime. It's all on sister-in-law. Who's your sister-in-law? Veronica Tate was a bit embarrassed, but quickly regained her composure, then slung an arm around my shoulder. Come on, let's go to the last stop. Where? You'll see when we get there. They walked ahead, and I trailed behind, my face full of gloom. Finally, we stopped at a suit shop. I was bewildered. Hey, what are you two up to? Buying clothes. They said in unison, their voices full of righteousness. Inside, we went to the suits. Veronica Tate touched the fabric, and the salesperson next to her smiled. The material of this suit is excellent. The shoulders and collar are very structured. Hearing that, I cursed inwardly, damn it, no matter how structured it is, it's not as structured as cash. I tugged hard on Veronica Tate, but she just glanced at me and turned to ask the salesperson, how much is this one? The clerk smiled, one set is $12.80, but we can give you an 8% discount. Bloody hell. That's almost my entire month's living expenses, what about a 1% discount? Of course, I couldn't say that out loud, couldn't lose face, could I? I handed what I was carrying to Alyssa and hugged Veronica Tate. Hey, friend, even if you have money, don't spend it like this, okay? Besides, if you're buying it for yourself, fine, but why buy it for me? Veronica Tate touched my lips. Come on, what if there's a formal occasion? You can't not have a decent suit, can you? Why do I feel a bit like a kept man? You're already fair-skinned. Unable to argue with her, I took the suit and went into the fitting room. When I came out, the two girls' eyes sparkled. Alyssa stared at me, dumbfounded, and said to Veronica Tate, sis-in-law, why do I think my brother is so handsome? Veronica Tate mumbled, I think so too. I told you, I'm not your sis-in-law. I smiled. I didn't feel anything special, just a bit more refreshed. Veronica Tate stepped forward to adjust my collar, and I pulled her into a hug. My dear wife. Thank you. She smiled, tilted her head up, and kissed me, then casually slipped her credit card into my pocket. She's always so thoughtful. I paused, suddenly feeling a bit nostalgic. I didn't expect her to still remember, even now, how much of a face-saver I am. Alyssa stepped forward. Hey, you two, can I join the hug? Veronica Tate chuckled and pulled me along to pay. Bloody hell, even with the discount, it's still over $1,000. So extravagant. They said we'd go eat, and of course, I was happy. Turns out they said they pitied me, so they'd indulge me. The result? Street food. Girls will be girls. After eating, we took Alyssa home. Her house is right in the commercial district. Before leaving, Alyssa said to us, since you're in love, don't overthink things. Cherishing the present is the most important. Aren't you two happy together? That's enough. What you two are afraid to face isn't reality, but your own love. You both want the other to live well, but you don't know that being by each other's side is what's truly good for each other. She smiled sincerely. Brother, sis-in-law, I wish you happiness. Then she went inside. I was speechless. I'm so lucky to have a little sister like her. Veronica Tate murmured, Alyssa really is a good girl, both understanding and independent. I nodded and laughed. Of course, haven't you seen whose little sister she is? Like father, like daughter. Shameless. Then she added, by the way, has our young master Thomas been sneaking around with any other kittens lately? I didn't answer, just looked at her. After a few seconds of staring, she smiled and took my hand. Forget it, pretend I didn't say anything. I smiled too. After all this time together, she still knows how devoted I am. Even if I weren't, she knows how much I love her. After everything we've been through, perhaps we've both grown up. Just then, her phone rang. She answered, "Hello, brother Henry Page." So it was Henry Page. Seems like things between her and Veronica Tate are pretty serious. "Oh, all right, Henry Page, sir. We're at the mall." "Yeah, okay." Veronica Tate glanced at me and hung up. I asked sarcastically, "Wow, Henry Page, sir. Laying it on thick, aren't we? Cut it out." I scoffed. This Henry Page guy is a threat. Even though I trust Veronica Tate, I don't have a good feeling about him. Most importantly, he pointed a gun at me. That's unforgivable. I asked Veronica Tate, "What's Henry Page's position in your family?" Veronica Tate thought for a moment and said, "He was orphaned when he was little, and my dad took him in." My dad raised him like a son." Good heavens. Soon, Henry Page's car arrived. It was the same Buick I saw that day. It stopped in front of Veronica Tate and me. I didn't get a good look that day, but Henry Page is a handsome guy. He was wearing sunglasses in the car, and his hair was pretty stylish, kind of like mine. Henry Page took off his sunglasses, nodded towards us, and said casually, "Get in." Veronica Tate glanced at me, then opened the back door. I put my clothes and things in the car, closed the door, and said to Veronica Tate, "Call me when you get home." Veronica Tate nodded. At that moment, Henry Page spoke up, "Get in the car." I pointed at myself, "Me?" "Yes, you." I glanced at Henry Page, trying to act cool, and ignored him. Annoyed, I got in the back seat. "Excuse me, Henry Page, sir, what did you call me for? We don't know each other. Don't tell me you still hold a grudge. That's not right. You were the one who pointed a gun at me last night." Veronica Tate was startled. "What's going on?" I quickly covered it up, Nothing. I was just joking with him." Henry Page was very calm. "I'm too lazy to look for you. Bennett Tate told me to pick you two up." Veronica Tate was suspicious. "What does my dad want with him?" "Yeah, I don't know him either." Henry Page shrugged, very arrogantly, and said something that really pissed me off, "I don't know either." The car quickly arrived at Veronica Tate's house. The villa wasn't exactly luxurious, but it was one of a kind in our small town. Veronica Tate, Henry Page, and I entered a room on the second floor. Henry Page knocked on the door. "Bennett Tate, I've brought Veronica and the other person back." A middle-aged man's voice came from inside, "How, let them in. If you're busy, you can go." "Yes, sir." Henry Page looked at Veronica Tate and me and shrugged. I thought he was going to say something, but he didn't say anything and left. Veronica Tate and I looked at each other. She playfully stuck her tongue out at me, looking very cute. I smiled and rubbed her head. Good thing I bought these decent clothes. Otherwise, what would I wear in this situation? Ha! Veronica Tate rolled her eyes. "What about this situation? Is it very formal? It's not like you haven't met my dad before." "Nonsense, when have we ever formally met?" "Oh man. Being summoned by my future father-in-law, I'm still pretty nervous." At that moment, the door opened. Bennett Tate looked about 40 years old, but he didn't look old at all. He was very handsome and had a lot of charisma. Oh no, he definitely heard us talking outside. "This is..." Bennett Tate crossed his arms and looked at me with a smirk. "Nervous about what?" I panicked. He continued, patting me on the head, "Who's your future father-in-law?" Veronica Tate stood beside me, trying to hold back her laughter. I glared at her disdainfully. Why isn't she helping me right now? I was extremely embarrassed. Bennett Tate, I was just kidding, just kidding." Bennett Tate, unconcerned, chuckled and said, "Come in." I glared at Veronica Tate. She pursed her lips in an embarrassed smile, her eyes clearly saying, "What's it to me?" Glancing around the room, it resembled a study, decorated simply and naturally, with a bookshelf, a desk, and a sofa. Veronica Tate and I sat on the sofa, incredibly tense. Bennett Tate began, "Veronica, you're about to graduate. What are your plans?" Veronica Tate shook her head. "I don't know. I probably won't pass the university entrance exam. I'll figure it out later." Bennett Tate sighed. "And what about Ethan? Do you have any plans?" Caught off guard by the question, I stammered, No, sir, I probably won't pass the university entrance exam either." Bennett Tate fell silent, then shook his head and said to Veronica Tate, "Veronica, go back to your room. I need to talk to Ethan Thomas for a moment." Veronica Tate glanced at me. I smiled, pretending to be unconcerned. She bit her lip, then without a word, went out. Bennett Tate leaned back. "Veronica has been independent since she was young, but I know she's not as strong as people think. I've known about you two being together for a long time, but I didn't want her to be upset, so I pretended not to know, didn't interfere. Your kid's all right, but that doesn't mean I approve of you. Do you understand?" I nodded. Veronica Tate and I broke up for almost half a year. It was hard to get back together, so I cherish her very much. I admit, I'm just a kid from the countryside, out of her league. But I'm confident that I'll earn your approval, not just Veronica Tate's. Bennett Tate laughed heartily, then with imposing air, asked me, "What makes you so confident?" I stood up. "Don't worry about what I'm relying on, but one thing I won't change is that I will marry your daughter." Bennett Tate froze, seemingly shocked by my words. Actually, I was a bit annoyed, not exactly angry, but it was understandable. He couldn't just approve of a nobody like me just because Veronica Tate loved me. I wasn't angry, but I really didn't like that look and those words. Before, I still had some hesitation about my feelings for Veronica Tate, but at this moment, I cast aside all those thoughts. I love her, so I must have her. Bennett Tate exhaled, gestured for me to sit down, and slowly said, "I only have one daughter. I can't let her suffer any harm. Everything I strive for is for her. Do you understand?" I calmed down and nodded. "Don't worry, Mr. Tate. I understand all of this." Bennett Tate stood up and patted my shoulder. "I've looked into you quite a bit. After graduation, you have two choices. First, do well on the university entrance exam, study hard with Veronica, and take over my family's business." He paused, then said, "Second, follow Henry Page, get involved with the underworld." I knew it wouldn't be that simple. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Did a fool like me think I could reach the top in one step? Was I too naive? Thinking about it again, it wasn't exactly reaching the top. It seemed Bennett Tate's assets were only a few billion. I stood up. "I understand, Mr. Tate. I won't rely on your influence to rise. I have my own plans." "Yeah, good that you understand. You're a smart kid, no need for me to say much. Off you go." "Yes, sir." Out in the hallway, Veronica Tate was waiting for me. Seeing me emerge, she probed, "Well, what did your dad say?" "Nothing much." "Ha. Nothing much, my foot. You were in there forever." I thought for a moment, choosing my words carefully. "Your dad asked about my plans. He seemed pretty impressed." Veronica Tate beamed, "Really? Have I ever lied to you? What did you just say? That look. Look, about serious stuff, have I ever lied to you?" He. In my opinion, a man shouldn't dump his problems on the woman he loves, no matter the pressure. It just adds another person to the burden and solves nothing. Plus, if I told her, she'd raise hell with her dad, and that's the last thing I want. A man can lose, but he needs to keep some dignity. Veronica Tate lit up when she heard this, throwing her arms around my neck. Hubby. Such a delicate, charming display. Before she could speak, I kissed her. She responded passionately, her long lashes fluttering, focused and serious. We broke apart soon after, a little reluctantly. If only we were in my room. Here was too risky. If Bennett Tate walked in on us like this, he'd definitely send me and Henry Page off with some gangsters. And knowing Henry Page's rotten luck, I'd be the one taking the bullets. Hubby. Veronica Tate called from the edge of the bed. What's up? Why aren't you going to class anymore? I'm not even studying, so what's the point? Besides, if I go, Ryan Lee and his crew will just laugh at me. What about the university entrance exam? I chuckled, rubbing her little nose. You gotta have faith in your hubby's skills. That's nothing to worry about. You and what skills, huh? She giggled. I grinned. Okay, how about I tell you something you won't understand? She perked up. Okay, go ahead. I paused, composing myself. Moonlight before the bed. What does it mean? The little beauty blinked. Isn't it just moonlight shining on the bed? What else could it mean? Wrong. Then what is it? I explained. Ahem, replace moonlight with your name. So, on the bed, you, naked. Veronica Tate immediately reacted. You pervert. She pounced on me, squeezing my face. You jerk. That's all you ever think about. I struggled to speak. This is called education, you know. Educated, my ass. Yeah, educated, my ass, which is why I'm not going to class. You, jerk. Haha. After a while, our playful wrestling tired us out. I unbuttoned my collar, breathing heavily. Veronica Tate was also exhausted. Ahem, don't get the wrong idea, we didn't do anything. Veronica Tate lay on my arm, her face flushed, her red lips slightly parted, beads of sweat on her forehead. I turned and lifted her face. I love you. A smile immediately bloomed on Veronica Tate's face. I love you too. Ha. What happened today made me even more determined to love her, not just to prove myself, but because I truly love her. I thought so, and Veronica Tate whispered in my heart, but, will you lose me again? Her mournful voice shook me. I hugged her tightly and said, no. I won't lose you again. She looked up, but, the university entrance exam is coming soon. What if I can't find you at university? I'm scared. I looked at her, and I believe she saw it. She understood, just as I saw the tears in her eyes, the sadness in her eyes. I will never leave you, not ever. Hearing my words, a perfect curve formed on her lips. We just hugged each other quietly, telling ourselves not to let her down again. I looked at the sleeping Veronica Tate and slowly withdrew my hand, covering her with a blanket. She was already in her pajamas, so I didn't need to undress her. Of course, I really hoped she wasn't wearing any. Glancing at the clock, it was almost 11 o'clock. Time flies. Downstairs, in the first-floor living room, Henry Page was sitting on the sofa, drinking a glass of wine, looking very relaxed. After seeing me come downstairs, he just glanced at me. How dare he look down on me? I thought for a moment, then walked over and plopped down on the sofa next to him, grabbing a bottle of beer and drinking it. Henry Page chuckled, his tone sarcastic. Oh, quite the expert, aren't you? Damn right. I laughed heartily. Henry Page came up from behind and patted me. Kid. What time is it? You still haven't gone home? I pointed at myself. I'm a kid. I'm 20 years old. Still a kid? How much older are you than me? Henry Page looked at me, smiled, and didn't say anything more. Looking at this quiet, yet incredibly handsome man, a sudden curiosity arose within me. Hey! Henry Page. Spit it out. I said shamelessly, take me home. Henry Page leaned back, get a cab yourself, I'm busy. Bloody hell, he has time to leisurely drink wine, but says he's busy. What a load of crap. I was just about to speak when Henry Page's phone rang. He sighed, rubbed his temples, and answered the phone. Hello. After 2 seconds, what? It startled me. After Henry Page hung up the phone, his face was extremely grim. I cautiously asked, what's wrong, Henry Page? Henry Page turned to look at me and asked, where do you live? Water Transport Manor. Alright, let's go. After saying that, he grabbed the keys and dragged me out. I was puzzled. Who called him? That was effective. Or did his conscience suddenly kick in? Immediately dismissed that thought. What bloody conscience does he have? Getting into the Buick, the car drove very fast. It seemed he really had something to do. While fastening my seatbelt, I said, hey, Henry Page. What's going on? Tell me. Henry Page glanced at me and said, why should I tell you? You're just a student. Damn it, I knew it, he's looking down on me again. I said again, think about it, if there's something going on between me and Veronica Tate, shouldn't I be in the know? What's the harm in letting me in on it beforehand? Am I right? Henry Page thought for a moment, then said casually, fine, it doesn't matter if I tell you. One of our ships at Paper Cat Bay, along with 2 entertainment clubs, got trashed. I was a bit surprised. In our county, the coastal area is crucial for foreign trade exports, practically the economic center, teeming with foreign businesses and a booming tourism industry. A rich man's paradise, I heard the residents there are loaded. I never thought Bennett Tate's reach extended that far. Henry Page, seeing my silence, added, Uncle Tate's assets are mainly in real estate, services, then coastal shipping. I knew that on the coast, if someone owns a ship, they're at least living the high life, the profits are huge. I sighed, so, who did it? Isn't law and order usually pretty good around there? Henry Page's eyes sharpened. Probably Theo Parker, but he definitely has someone backing him. He wouldn't dare touch my stuff otherwise, not even if he had 10 lives. A 2-bit street thug. I don't even consider him a threat. Damn, Theo Parker is already a proper gangster in my eyes. Of course, I couldn't say that out loud, couldn't lose face, right? I glanced at Henry Page. Though he rarely spoke, I could see the anger in his eyes. I sighed, so, what are you going to do now? Take you home, then I have to rush over there right away. It's not out of my way, otherwise, I wouldn't be so kind as to drive you home. Damn it. I knew it. He didn't say anything after that, just drove in silence. The car was fast, and soon we reached the outskirts, in other words, I was home. Hey, I say, Henry Page, I'm home. Why aren't you stopping the car? Are you deliberately taking me past my stop? You're so shameless. I yelled. Henry Page focused. Don't get out, someone's following me. I looked back, it was all cars. I couldn't tell which one was tailing him. I unbuckled my seatbelt. Dude, are you kidding me? There are cars everywhere behind us. Who's tailing you? Damn it, stop the car. Shut up. You think they'll let you go if you get out now? You think they'll let you tip me off? Henry Page paused for a moment, then opened a hidden compartment in the car. I peeked inside, stunned. Inside were several handguns and various daggers. He grabbed a handgun while driving, tucked it into his waistband, and turned to me. Stay put. Before I could say anything, Henry Page hit the gas. Damn it, telling me to stay put, you gotta let me get settled first. I quickly buckled my seatbelt again. Out of the suburbs, the car went even faster. In the middle of the night, there were fewer cars on the outskirts. I looked back, and sure enough, there was a Beijing Hyundai tailing us, not too fast, not too slow. Henry Page glanced at the rearview mirror, then took out his phone. "Hello. Luke Knox, mind your own business, keep smashing things up, but now get to the highway, head straight into the city. Yeah, that's right, don't worry about anything. Bring the tools." I was dumbfounded. Why this name? And Luke Knox, that skeleton. I wiped the sweat from my forehead. Saying I wasn't tense would be a lie. Thinking back, I started to regret it. Which nerve of mine must have short-circuited? Why did I let him drive me home? If I had gone home by myself, wouldn't this have been avoided? Henry Page hung up the phone, turned to me, and said, "Listen up. When I get out of the car, you follow. After I'm out, I'll open the trunk. You grab a knife from the back. Got it? This is life or death, not some petty schoolyard brawl. Understand?" I nodded, lit a cigarette to calm my nerves. It seemed things were getting a bit complicated today. I looked at Henry Page, somewhat admiring his composure. After a moment, I asked, "The car behind hasn't caught up yet. Why are we stopping?" Henry Page sighed. "My mistake. If they could follow me to the outskirts, there's definitely an ambush ahead. Then why not get out now and deal with the ones behind us first?" Henry Page patted me. "Kid, not bad. You catch on quick." He paused, then added, "That's why I have to stop now." He pulled over, took a gun from the glove compartment, and calmly lit a cigarette. Then he went to the back, opened the trunk, and took out a machete. He looked at me in the car. I understood, but for some reason, I also grabbed a gun from the glove compartment, tucked it into my waistband, sighed, and then went to the trunk for a machete. I stood beside Henry Page. The car behind us stopped, and 4 men got out, armed with knives. I tried to suppress my anxiety. I'd seen plenty of fights, but this kind of life-or-death situation was a first. After all, I was still a student. "Oh, found yourself a little helper, huh? Bit scrawny, though." The leader on the other side sneered. I looked closely. He looked familiar. Then it hit me. I had met this guy before. It was Theo Ford, the one with the knife at Veronica Tate's back door last night. I grinned, masking my fear. I had a massive ego and a lot of pride. Many people called me thick-skinned, but it depended on the person and the situation. I hated being looked down on, like Theo Ford was doing right now. So I mustered my courage and said, "Are we gonna fight or what? Cut the crap. Shouldn't you be home, serving your auntie? What are you doing messing with me?" My words clearly embarrassed them. Henry Page burst out laughing. "See, Theo Ford. This is the little helper you were talking about. What do you think? Pretty cool, huh?" I glanced at Henry Page. "Get serious, man. We're in a fight. You jinx." Henry Page chuckled, then whispered just loud enough for us to hear, "Just stay behind me and shank him when you get a chance." I nodded. Of course, he'd go first. If I went first, wouldn't I be a sitting duck? Theo Ford, somewhat humiliated, said angrily, "Enough with the chit-chat, Henry Page. You're not getting away today." Theo Ford, may be a lowlife, but I always get even. I was just selling a little product on your turf. Did you really have to push me to the edge? Shut up, you talk too much. I muttered to myself. Ford didn't hear me, but Henry Page did. "Get serious, we're in a fight. You're such a jinx." Henry Page yelled at me, using my own words. I shot Henry Page a helpless look. Turns out he's just as shameless, deliberately provoking others and then dragging me into it. I told myself, I definitely need to stay away from this Henry Page in the future. Nothing good can come from being around him. While we were talking and laughing, Henry Page rushed out. Seeing this, I hurriedly followed. Henry Page was very agile, slashing directly at Theo Ford, who was charging forward. His speed was incredible. Theo Ford also swung his knife, clang. A spark flew in the night. Henry Page didn't hesitate, as if he had already anticipated that he couldn't kill his opponent with one blow, so he forcefully swung his knife at the guy next to Theo Ford. That guy clearly didn't expect Henry Page's move. He froze, just for a moment, and Henry Page's knife slashed across his face. A scream echoed, blood splattering his clothes. I seized the opportunity, and when Theo Ford retreated, I charged forward and slashed at him. Theo Ford was initially stunned, then he lunged towards me, and I backed away. Just then, I heard a bang, and saw Theo Ford fall. In the darkness, Henry Page held a gun, pointed it at the people opposite him, and coldly said, "Get out of here if you don't want to die." Sure enough, no one wants to die, so they all ran away. Henry Page walked over and asked me, "Are you all right?" I mumbled, "You're so cool." Henry Page didn't have time to joke around with me. "Get in the car." I took the small knife and got in the car with him, sitting in the passenger seat. I tried to calm down, but unfortunately, I failed. My mind was filled with the image of Theo Ford falling, and Henry Page's coldness. I had never seen such a scene before, but I wasn't ashamed, neither had those guys. "Scared?" Henry Page asked me with a smirk. I exhaled and lit a cigarette. "I've lived for 20 years and I've never seen anything like that." "I don't believe you weren't scared the first time you saw something like that. You'll have to get used to this kind of thing sooner or later." "Because of Veronica Tate?" I asked suspiciously. "Yeah, if you choose to stay by her side, you'll have to get used to these kinds of scenes. Not everyone can be the Thai family's son-in-law." I sighed. It seems that Bennett Tate's business will still be handed over to his only daughter. Although he treats Henry Page like his own son, blood is thicker than water, everyone understands that. I shook my head, trying not to think about these things anymore. For now, I just need to worry about myself, hoping I can survive. Just then, Henry Page stopped the car by the side of the road and took out a box from the back seat. I saw it was full of medical supplies. Henry Page took out bandages and medicine, used a knife to cut my shirt open, and bandaged me roughly. Although it was very rough, it made me break out in a cold sweat. After finishing, Henry Page took out his phone. "Don't worry, I'm safe now. Don't be anxious, come here quickly, bring everyone. Leave that place to the police, tonight we'll bury all of Theo Parker's men here." I listened in silent horror, suddenly understanding Henry Page's intent. With pursuers behind us and Phuong Thac's men likely in the city ahead, we were trapped. Henry Page was using himself as bait, luring Phuong Thac's men here while his own men surrounded the area. A brilliant plan, but goddamn dangerous. It took guts, that's for sure. He had the guts, but hell, I didn't. He could risk his own neck, but he couldn't drag me into it too. I kept quiet, knowing my words were useless now. All I could do was follow him and hope that Luke Knox arrived soon. Up ahead, at a bend in the road, flashing lights appeared. 3 or 4 cars, maybe. At this late hour, they couldn't be ordinary traffic. The roads were usually deserted at this time. "Get out, quick. Into the trees." We scrambled out of the car. Ignoring the pain in my arm, I grabbed my knife and ran for the cover of the trees. Staying put meant certain doom. Glancing back, I saw the headlights pass us by, seemingly oblivious to our presence. Henry Page's car wasn't exactly hidden, but it wasn't glaringly obvious either. Seeing they weren't following, I collapsed on the ground, exhausted. "Hey, Henry Page, let's take a break. They're not coming after us." Henry Page stopped and yanked me to my feet. "Move. They'll be back." "Why?" I asked, puzzled. Because my license plate is still on that car. Damn, you unlucky kid, like two rats, we scurried through the trees, emerging into farmland. We seemed to have stumbled upon a village of ancient-looking houses. It dawned on me that this was a resort area, just deserted. Mostly older folks lived here, the younger generation had left for the city to earn a living. Henry Page led the way to a narrow alley. The wall wasn't high, just enough to conceal us. I soon realized we could see the edge of the village from here, even Henry Page's Buick, just by standing on our toes. Sitting on the ground, catching my breath, I asked Henry Page with a nervous laugh, "Hey, Henry Page, do you think we're gonna die here?" Henry Page lit a cigarette. I noticed his bangs were quite long. What? Starting to get scared now? I didn't reply, tacitly admitting my fear. After a long silence, Henry Page asked, "Are you still in school?" Taken aback, I replied, "Why do you ask?" "I'm a good student." "Of course, I'm still in school." Henry Page chuckled. "Good. After this, focus on your university entrance exam. Stay away from this gangster stuff. Once you're in, you can't get out." I asked suspiciously, "What do you mean?" Henry Page said, "Uncle Tate rarely gets involved in these matters, but he draws a clear line between black and white, only matters related to the company's finances are interconnected. Now, I ask you, do you want to get mixed up in the underworld?" I said, "What does it matter to me whether it's clearly distinguished or not? Just say, do you want in or not? After today, I've decided I'm out." Henry Page laughed, "Then you and Veronica Tate should just focus on acing your university entrance exams. The underworld is my domain. What if I do want in?" Henry Page spread his hands. "Then it's your call. You're the boss, and I'm your underling. Damn it, I'm in." As I gradually got to know him, I found myself no longer hating him. He was actually a decent guy. I smiled unconsciously and asked, "Are you going to fight me for the Thai family fortune?" Henry Page shook his head. "Bennett Tate saved my life. I won't do anything to betray him." Then his tone changed. "However, if you prove incompetent, I won't hesitate to take you out first. And then seize the fortune." Shameless. I gave him an exasperated look. This old fox was truly extraordinary. This alley was temporarily safe. I didn't know what Henry Page was thinking, but I hoped we could get out of here unscathed. I still needed to go home to my little one. I asked, "Mr. Henry Page, speaking of your skeleton, you know, that one, has it arrived?" Henry Page focused. "It's here." I immediately straightened up and asked in a low voice, "Right, then let's go." He grabbed my arm. "The enemy is here." I immediately looked towards the village entrance. There were two cars, but they didn't enter at the same time. They split up, which meant they knew we were in the village. I smacked my head. Damn it, wasn't Henry Page's car at the village entrance? I pulled Henry Page's arm. "Let's go, buddy. If we don't leave, we're toast. Don't tell me you want to take on 10 guys alone." Henry Page grabbed his gun. "They're definitely searching the village now, but they won't spread out. This is the east entrance. They'll definitely send one car to the west entrance." I glanced at the east entrance, which was close to the main road. Sure enough, a car stopped there, observed the Buick for a moment, then sped towards us. The other car didn't stop, driving straight ahead. I didn't know where it was going, but according to Henry Page, it was probably heading to the west entrance. I turned to Henry Page. "Just like you said, 4 guys are coming at us, and the other car didn't stop." I grabbed my knife, preparing to run into the village. Henry Page let out an "eh" and pulled me back. "What are you doing?" "Running." Henry Page rolled his eyes. "Why are you so chicken? You think I'm like you? Risking my neck like that?" Henry Page ignored me, slowly saying, "We can't just run into the village. We'll be surrounded, and then we're both screwed. We might not die, but we'll definitely be crippled." I thought it over carefully. He was right. The terrain here was complex. Who knew what was inside? If we hit a dead end, we'd be even more screwed. So what do we do? I asked weakly. Henry Page grinned. "Here's the plan: we take out the guys rushing towards us, then run back towards my car at the edge of the village, get out to the highway, and my people will be there." I nodded. In the current situation, this was definitely the best option. "Look," I said, pointing to my arm, "my fighting capacity is limited, plus I'm injured." Henry Page thought for a moment, then started chuckling. I suddenly had a bad feeling. "What are you planning?" "I've got a tactic." "What tactic?" Henry Page pointed to the alley opposite us. The two alleys were originally one small lane, but the village road cut across it, forming a crossroads. Henry Page continued, "You go to the alley opposite. Later, when they come, you come out from there and distract them. I'll charge out from here and ambush them. That way, our chances of success are higher." Then. I immediately interrupted him. "Hold on, buddy. Are you messing with me? This isn't distracting them, this is making me a human shield. Look at my physique. One burst from their guns, and you can toss me into the economic zone C for the fish. Cut the crap." Henry Page looked up. "They're almost here. Get over there. The distance between the two alleys isn't that big. Our ambush will definitely work. They don't know your face, so you have to do this." I panicked. "Henry Page, you're screwing me over." Henry Page was also anxious. "Hurry up. They'll be here in 5 minutes, tops. They don't know you, and it's pitch black. They won't even see the wound on your arm." I sighed. There was no other way now. I had to do it. I looked at Henry Page. "Henry Page, my life is in your hands. You better be quick on your feet." Henry Page stepped forward and patted my shoulder. "Don't worry, brother." Looking at his eyes, why did it feel like a warrior going on a one-way trip? Damn it, whatever. I've always been lucky. I surveyed the terrain. I could circle around from the back to avoid being spotted while crossing the road. I quickly reached the alley Henry Page mentioned, hid the knife in my sleeve, realized it wouldn't fit and I couldn't move naturally, so I placed the knife at the alley entrance. I took a deep breath, lit a cigarette, and signaled to Henry Page. He should be able to see the situation on this side. He also lit a cigarette to signal back to me. The message was clear, he was ready. I quietly sat on a large rock, my heart pounding like crazy. I hadn't even finished a cigarette when I noticed a light coming from the alley across the street. I turned around and saw Henry Page standing there with his phone. That's when I knew they had actually arrived. I wondered how I could get their attention. It was a real problem. I couldn't just rush out there, they weren't idiots. And getting myself hurt wouldn't do any good. I looked at Henry Page's phone and suddenly had an idea. I took out my own phone, opened the music player, found a really upbeat dance track, and hit play. Then, I just walked out. Sure enough, I successfully caught their attention. Music in the quiet night is very distracting, especially in such a tense situation. It was only then that I realized there were 4 of them, all wearing tight-fitting tank tops, looking very agile. I pretended not to see them, then, with what I thought was a very calm demeanor, I took out my phone, pressed stop, and put it to my ear. "Hello? Mom? Okay, I'll be back later. Oh, it's just a quick mahjong game. Those guys lost and aren't paying up, so I'm dealing with it. Alright, gotta go." I pretended to hang up the phone and continued walking towards them, feigning surprise when I reached them. Good heavens, who are you guys? I acted scared, but honestly, I didn't need to pretend. I was terrified. They didn't say anything, just stared at me with wary expressions. I said, "Look, fellas, I only won a little bit of money, right? They owe me, but I don't need it, okay?" One of the big guys stepped forward, grinning. "We're not looking for you." "Then who are you looking for?" "Henry Page. Average build, tall, very handsome, kinda long hair." Good heavens, that sounded exactly like me. There was no way around it. In terms of build, Henry Page and I were pretty similar. My voice trembled. "Isn't that me? What do you want with me? I'm not some big shot Henry Page. I don't have any money. I only won once, and they didn't even pay me." I spoke as I backed away. The guys facing me started laughing. One of them guffawed, saying, "This kid is hilarious." However, his laughter was cut short because I saw Henry Page make his move from behind them. Henry Page decisively slashed at the last guy in line. The scream made them all turn around. Without hesitation, Henry Page swung at the next guy's head. This guy reacted quickly, blocking with his arm, otherwise, he would have been dead. He couldn't avoid Henry Page's next swing, though, taking it just below the ribs and collapsing to the ground. Meanwhile, I wasn't just standing around. I had already backed up to the end of the alley. While they were fighting, I pulled out my knife. So, they weren't paying any attention to me. They didn't dare to pay attention to me with Henry Page tearing through them like that. I slashed at the last guy standing. I put all my strength into it, so much so that my shoulder throbbed with pain, and I couldn't help but groan. I knew I wouldn't get a second chance, so I had to give it everything. The knife connected solidly with his back. This guy wasn't simple. After being ambushed, he didn't blindly retaliate. Instead, he rolled twice on the ground, got up, cursed, and charged at me. I was a little surprised by his actions. Was this real or fake? He seemed fine after that. If it were me, I'd definitely be down for the count. While I was stunned, his knife slashed towards me. I didn't know what to do for a moment, instinctively raising my knife to block. But it wasn't enough. The powerful blow sliced into my side. Luckily, I managed to deflect some of the force, otherwise, I'd be done for. I didn't have time to think. His next attack was already coming. Damn it, did he really think I was easy prey? I ducked, narrowly avoiding the fatal blow, then spun around and, with all my remaining strength, stabbed my stiff arm into his thigh. He couldn't help but fall. A scream ripped through the air. My whole body trembled. I twisted the knife and then, with force, plunged it into his head. Another scream, and then he collapsed. I slumped to the ground, gasping for breath. I turned to look at Henry Page. This guy was really strong. He'd taken care of the last one. He wiped the bloody sweat from his face with his sleeve, grinned, and pulled me up. "Well?" Shocked, he asked. "Still shaken," I said, "living in this world really hardens a person's heart." Henry Page laughed, gave me a thumbs up, and said, "You were pretty slick just now, nimble too." "Not bad." I chuckled. "Look at me, covered in wounds. Nimble? If I were really nimble, I would have taken all four of them on my own." Henry Page looked me over and took off my jacket. "Rip." He tore a piece from my shirt, wrapped it around my waist, and tightened it. The pain made my teeth chatter. Blood flowed down my arm. The pain almost made me pass out. Finished with the makeshift bandage, Henry Page put my jacket back on me and sighed. "Luckily, the wound isn't too deep." I leaned against the wall, the pain making my mind hazy. Just then, flickering headlights appeared at the end of the alley. This meant cars. This village was sparsely populated, mostly by the elderly and infirm. Why were there so many cars in the middle of the night? Even I could figure this out, and Henry Page understood even better. Henry Page thought for a moment. Later, run towards the small woods, towards my car, and hide nearby. I'll use this alley to circle around them. Remember, hide well around the car. You'll need to be sharp. If you see my men, lead them in to help me. I trust you can tell who's with me and who's with them. What about Luke Knox? I asked. Why aren't they here yet? Henry Page sighed. They've run into trouble too. We're on our own for now. Dejected, I slumped to the ground. I'd never faced such a dangerous situation. It looked like we'd have a hard time getting out of this village. I was terrified, a fear unlike any I'd felt before, even when blocked at the school gates. I knew I was gambling, playing a game. I never imagined risking everything. Then, as if remembering something crucial, I asked Henry Page, "Are you familiar with this village? These alleys are a maze. How do you plan to lure them?" Henry Page scoffed, "Don't worry about that, kid. They're amateurs if they think they can take me. Who do you think you are?" I retorted. Even guerrilla fighters had to know the terrain. What the hell do you understand? It's too dangerous for both of us to go. I wasn't sure what I was thinking. I knew my own fighting capabilities, but the thought of Henry Page luring them alone so I could escape bothered me. Perhaps this was that male code of honor, something women could never understand. The lights at the alley's entrance grew brighter. Henry Page grabbed my collar, his voice low, "Run. I'm better off alone. You're a liability." I was annoyed, but I couldn't deny his words. There was no time to think, the lights at the alley's entrance were now blazing. Henry Page yelled, "Don't argue. Run." Gritting my teeth, I glanced at him and turned towards the small woods. When I looked back, he gave me a calm, confident smile, a bit arrogant, but that arrogance seemed natural on him. I reached the woods, my breath ragged. My strength was fading, and the wound added to my struggle. I could feel myself swaying. A scream echoed from behind. I stopped, hiding in the undergrowth. I could see figures moving, realizing Henry Page hadn't evaded them. He'd waited, buying me time. I didn't understand why he'd done that. Maybe it was his connection to the Thai family, or perhaps something else. Whatever the reason, I knew I couldn't leave. It wasn't about fearlessness, but a man's self-respect. I knew my presence might not save him, but I had to try to change something. As I crept closer, curses startled me. "Henry Page, you're not getting away this time." The figure ahead seemed oblivious, still running towards me, struggling. They were closing in. My hand went to the wound under my ribs, it felt wet. "Huh? What's this?" I reached behind my waist and pulled it out. It was the gun I'd hidden there. I'd almost forgotten it. Before, I completely forgot I had the gun. Touching it felt like something out of a movie. Then, I carefully checked and realized the safety was still on. Damn, if I'd pulled the trigger, my balls would be gone. I lay still, not daring to move a muscle. My hiding spot was pretty good, they wouldn't find me. I didn't dare peek either. If they spotted me, not only would I fail to save Henry Page, but I'd be dead too. Besides, even if I charged out now, it wouldn't change anything. Just then, a gunshot, bang, rang out from up ahead, making me jump. "Henry Page, oh Henry Page, please don't let anything happen to you." And as I silently prayed for Henry Page, two more shots echoed, bang, bang. The two shots were almost simultaneous. Panic swelled within me. In the dim night, I could almost see the muzzle flashes. Those sounds were like someone's death sentence. I unconsciously swallowed, sweat trickling down my cheeks. They were less than 100 meters away now. After the shots, everything went silent. Their next exchange made my heart clench. Throw him in the car at the edge of the village, not Henry Page's car, the one we drove here. And, Little Hai, drive the car from the village to the edge. Get all the injured in the car and take them to the hospital. Yes, Boss Loy. I looked up at them. The guy called Boss Loy was clearly the leader. I couldn't see him clearly, just a vague figure, not very tall, wearing a suit. Then, someone said to Boss Loy, "Boss, why don't we just bury Henry Page here? It's less trouble, right? Taking him with us is a hassle. We don't know what to do with him. We can't take him to the hospital, can we?" Logan Lloyd said, "Theo Parker is a cunning and resourceful man. We need to leave ourselves an out. If Henry Page dies, it won't benefit us. Who knows what that bastard Theo Parker will do if I get rid of Henry Page? You wouldn't understand these things anyway. The bottom line is, we can't let Henry Page die. So where do we take him? Don't worry about that. After we get back, take him to Elder Theodore. He'll know what to do. You'll take him later." Logan Lloyd finished speaking and walked towards me. The others behind him agreed. My heart pounded harder. The bushes I was hiding in were on the path they had to take to get to the edge of the village. Meaning, they had to pass right by me to get out. Well, not necessarily. The woods were big. It was just the easiest route. Unless they were all monkeys. From their conversation, I knew Henry Page wasn't dead. That was good. I'd save him. But how? That was the question. Just then, something exhilarating happened. Lights blazed at the edge of the village. I didn't know whose they were, but Boss Loy's reaction told me everything. It was Luke Knox, the one Henry Page had mentioned. Logan Lloyd stared in disbelief, then quickly ducked down, signaling to the others. He whispered, "How did Luke Knox get here so fast? Impossible. What are Theo Parker's men doing? Didn't he say he could definitely stop Luke Knox? Useless." He was visibly furious. He was only 20 meters away, I could even hear them breathing. Panic seized me. I was utterly lost. Luke Knox clearly didn't know that Lay had taken Henry Page to the small grove. If Henry Page had been taken to a vehicle in the village, it would have been better, but Lay had kept Henry Page with him, intending to take him to a vehicle at the edge of the village. Luke Knox's convoy drove straight into the village, completely unaware of Henry Page's presence in the grove. If I yelled, I would definitely attract Luke Knox's attention, but that wouldn't necessarily save Henry Page. Logan Lloyd might flee from the grove towards the highway. That wouldn't do. So, I suppressed my anxiety and watched carefully. Logan Lloyd's men crouched low, cautious. One of them covered Henry Page's mouth, clearly afraid he'd make a sound. From what I could see of Henry Page's condition, he probably couldn't even speak. He looked incredibly weak. The last vehicle in Luke Knox's convoy stopped at the village edge. 2 men got out and stood guard. The other vehicles continued into the village. Logan Lloyd, extremely wary, ordered his companion, "Quick. Get Henry Page's phone and turn it off." The man next to Henry Page swiftly grabbed his phone and yanked out the battery. Seeing this, I realized Logan Lloyd was no fool. Such a cautious man would be difficult to deal with. Luke Knox's convoy dispersed after entering the village. Logan Lloyd muttered, "Damn that Theo Parker, trying to leave me for dead here. Humph, I won't let him get away with it." He turned to his companion. "Here's the plan. While Luke Knox's men are in the village, we'll make a break for it. Take out the 2 at the village edge. Remember, be quick and clean. This is do or die." The thugs replied in unison, "Understood." Just ahead of me was the alley where Henry Page and I had hidden earlier. I could faintly hear shouting. "Oh no! Little Hai is still in there." The young man next to Logan Lloyd spoke in a low voice, but I could still hear the worry in his tone. Logan Lloyd immediately grabbed his shoulder. "Don't be rash. You going there won't change anything." The young man seemed to understand, sinking to the ground, head in his hands. Logan Lloyd sighed. "It's my fault. I shouldn't have let him go for the car." The others remained silent. Then another spoke up, "Come on, Lay. Let's get out of here. Otherwise, we—" Logan Lloyd said listlessly, "I owe you all. I shouldn't have listened to Theo Parker. Let's go." They stood up, preparing to head for the village edge. I gripped my gun, eyes fixed on them. I told myself I only had one chance. I had to subdue Logan Lloyd instantly. I was scared stiff. I could hear my heart pounding. It was do or die. There was no other way. I had to save Henry Page. I knew no one would blame me if I didn't, but I would despise myself. Gritting my teeth, as they approached, I burst from the bushes. They were clearly startled. Logan Lloyd reacted fastest, leaping back. But as he reached for his gun, I lunged at him. Without a word, I lunged forward, biting the hand holding the gun. I couldn't afford to hesitate. My only thought was to subdue him, to save Henry Page. Logan Lloyd yelled out in pain, "Ah!" He writhed on the ground, and without hesitation, I pulled out my gun and pointed it at him. "Freeze! Damn it!" The others reacted, their guns aimed at me, their faces hostile. Logan Lloyd, seeing my gun, laughed. "Who are you?" My hand trembled around the gun. To hide my nervousness, I laughed. "Heh, who I am doesn't matter. Let Henry Page go." I glanced at Henry Page. He lay there weakly, then looked up. Seeing me, he grinned and crawled towards me. One of the men behind me, still aiming their guns, stepped hard on Henry Page, who cried out. I gritted my teeth. It was clear I had to get tough, teach them a lesson. I yelled at Logan Lloyd, "Let Henry Page go. Do you hear me?" Logan Lloyd scoffed. "Kid, how old are you? How long have you been following Henry Page? Look at you, can't even hold a gun steady. You gotta be ruthless. How else are you gonna save Henry Page, huh?" He sat up, his eyes suddenly fierce. He slammed his head against the barrel of my gun. "You wanna play? Can you handle losing, punk? I'll tell you this, I'm not letting Henry Page go. What are you gonna do about it?" His stare was so vicious it scared me, full of contempt, like I was naive. Rage surged through me. I gritted my teeth, turned the gun, and fired. Bang, a shot to his leg. Chaos erupted. Everyone started to rush forward. Logan Lloyd groaned. I quickly shifted, using his body as a shield against the other guns. I wasn't stupid, one stray bullet and I'd be done for. I tightened my grip on Logan Lloyd's neck. He was tough, taking a bullet to the leg without a word, but the sweat on his face betrayed him. Everyone's human, bullets hurt. I jabbed the gun into his head and grinned, a vicious grin. I turned to him. "Mr. Lloyd, right? Heh, how's that? Ruthless enough? Or should we keep playing? You won't let Henry Page go? Let's go all out." Logan Lloyd trembled. Heh, don't act tough, it's useless. You must be new to this. I don't know what your relationship with Henry Page is, but, to go this far for him. Ha! Ignoring him, I wiped the blood from my mouth, from when I'd bitten him. I'd been so tense I'd bitten down hard. I yelled at the others, "Watch and learn. If you don't release Henry Page, I'll take your Mr. Lloyd down with me. You can be just like your boss, not believing me. Heh, isn't it just a life? I'm telling you today, I can play this game." My voice boomed, but my hand trembled, my gut churning with a deathly fear. Henry Page's flanking guards exchanged glances, hesitant, indecisive. Just then, Logan Lloyd, my captive, spoke, "Let him go. It's pointless. From the moment this kid fired, we lost." The two men lowered their heads, releasing Henry Page, who began crawling towards me. I silently exhaled, relieved. Everyone fears death. I had to survive, to savor life's sweetness with my precious Veronica Tate. Henry Page, grinning, crawled to my side, gave me a thumbs up, and said, "Give me the gun." I obeyed, my body suddenly drained, utterly exhausted. He asked, with a chuckle, "Didn't I tell you to go to the car? Why'd you run here?" Leaning against a small tree, I mumbled, "You think I wanted to? I'm a man of loyalty." Henry Page chuckled, gave me a knowing look, and said nothing. Then I took my phone out of my pocket. I intended to get it for him, but found that I had no strength left in my body. He took out his phone, and without thinking, he knew that he must be calling that Luke Knox guy. I didn't hear the details, but it was actually my gunshot just now that attracted them here. Especially those two at the edge of the village, heading our way. That's why Logan Lloyd told his men to release Henry Page. All for naught. Henry Page hung up and addressed Logan Lloyd. "Logan Lloyd, why? What did Theo Parker offer you to sell your soul like this?" Logan Lloyd shook his head, chuckling ruefully. "I was gambling. Betting on success. Betting I could capture you. But Theo Parker played me. Master Henry Page, you're a tough nut to crack." By now, we were surrounded by men closing in on Logan Lloyd's crew. Henry Page's men, finally. "Damn it." Henry Page said, "A gamble, indeed. But you saw Theo Parker as your trump card. That's where you lost." A young, stylishly coiffed man, not very tall, approached Henry Page. "Master Henry Page, are you all right?" Henry Page shook his head. "And you? Why would Theo Parker let you come so easily?" "Humph. Does he not want me dead? Or is he afraid Logan Lloyd won't die?" "Humph." The man chuckled. "Just a few men. Seems he doesn't want Logan Lloyd to live." His tone shifted. "But he should also consider who I, Luke Knox, am. Does he think he can stop me?" His words dripped with arrogance. Henry Page chuckled. "Get our men to the hospital. The others don't matter. No, wait. Take Logan Lloyd. And Ethan Thomas, too." He pointed at me. Luke Knox glanced at me and signaled for his men to help me up. I was guided to a car, exhaustion overwhelming me, my body trembling. Finally, it was over. All I wanted was sleep. Dawn was breaking in the east. This sleepless night would forever be etched in my memory. My thoughts drifted, and then, nothing. I woke up late at night. I looked around. A room, a bed, a window. It hit me, a hospital. Damn. I hated hospitals, mostly because of the constant reminders of life and death. Moving my arm, I noticed Veronica Tate slumped against me, sleeping restlessly. Her brows were furrowed, her pale face etched with faint tear tracks, and her eyelashes trembled slightly. I couldn't help but caress her face, yet I didn't want to wake her. "Oh, Ethan, you're awake." "Yeah." I nodded, attempting to move, but pain shot through me. I felt incredibly weak, every slight movement causing my face to contort, especially the wound in my side. "Hey! Don't move." Veronica Tate held me still as I stirred. "The doctor said the wound hasn't healed yet, and your muscles are torn." I smiled and asked her, "How long have I been asleep?" Veronica Tate looked at me reproachfully. "Since this morning. It's midnight now. So, how long do you think you've been asleep?" Looking at Veronica Tate's reproachful eyes, I couldn't help but laugh. "Oh, why so sulky? Come on, tell me, who dared to bully you? Tell me, which bastard dared to bully my wife? Aren't they looking for a death wish? As I spoke, I clenched my fist. Veronica Tate flatly stated the name of her bully, that bloody bastard. I gave a strained laugh. Come on, don't be mad anymore. Is it worth it? I'm alright now. Aren't I? Veronica Tate finally couldn't hold back her tears. If this isn't something, then what is? Look at how badly you're hurt. I really don't know why you're doing this. Do you even know what you're doing? Do you? I listened silently, my heart heavy. She was right. I really didn't know what I was doing. Even though I wasn't in school, I was still a student, and what I was dealing with was completely beyond my comprehension. Honestly, I wasn't cut out for this gangster life. But, what could I do? I didn't want to give up on Veronica Tate. I couldn't lose her again. I remained silent as Veronica Tate continued, her voice choked with sobs. I know you can't bear to leave me. I know you're proud. Even if you know you can't do it, you won't give up. You don't want to disappoint anyone. But this is different. We're not kids anymore. Can we be rational? If all of this is because of me, then I'd rather you let me go. I love you, I don't want anything to happen to you, I don't want you to go down this path because of me. Ethan Thomas, please stop this. Let's take the university entrance exam together, okay? Stop this life. Just stop it. Veronica Tate yelled at me frantically. I held her tightly. I knew she was doing this for my own good. I knew she was scared. But I couldn't do what she asked. I didn't want to go to university. I didn't want that kind of peaceful life. A fierce desire to grow up burned within me. I had to become someone she could rely on. I had to be with her, and that togetherness couldn't simply be because she loved me, but because it was acknowledged by everyone. I rested my head against her. Veronica Tate, there are some things we have to face. I have to have you, I have to be acknowledged by everyone. I don't want it to be just because I love you.